My name is Samantha and Jesse.
My name is RGP1 Remoy George Phillips. Sad that Jeremy Lin is done for the season.
He's done for the season?
No. Yeah.
Damn.
Like, I just remember watching that
Jeremy.
video of like him falling and then like looking over at the camera with an exasperated face saying, I'm done. And then hoping otherwise, hoping he was just being like in the moment, oh fuck. But in fact, homie's done.
Aww,
I'm sad. And I'm sad not just for like this season, but like that's not to say career
ending. Is that a
ending,
career ending?
But he's been injured like for the last 3 years. Like,
yeah.
His career's looking bleak. I feel for that dude. Anyways.
I hope he gets a spot on ESPN.
Look.
My other question for you is, what's your middle name?
Are you serious right now?
You said RGP.
George.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not supposed
How do you not know this?
I'm sorry.
We've been friends for like 8 years.
We have been friends for 8 years. Do you know what my middle name is?
Your middle name?
There you go. All right.
Well,
my middle name is Louise. I'm just kidding. It's Lou. Samantha Lou and Jesse.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's badass.
I know. It's like I'm from the 40s or something. Welcome to Masculinity, guys. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, so we've had the pleasure of exploring various aspects of masculinity this season. Like, we've had a lot of fun. We've had a lot of great guests on. Well, we've talked about masculinity in the context of pop culture, how it's up to us as a society to hold each other accountable and to change the narrative by diversifying our perspectives. We've talked about masculinity in the context of mental health and how it is up to us to create safe spaces and how to show compassion for men so that they can expose their vulnerability and then honestly seek out support. We've talked about masculinity in the hood and the importance of knowledge in the hood and elsewhere and how that is key to breaking systems of oppression and impacting all of our day-to-day lives.
And so we've also talked about education and how creating spaces for just boys and just girls allow safe spaces of camaraderie and conversations that foster understanding and confidence within and among the students that wouldn't happen otherwise. So to close out our first season, we're going to expand this conversation about education and get connected to what it actually looks like to have spaces for boys and young men where there's actually specifically taught to challenge gender norms with the specific intent to become more responsible men down the line. So we're super juiced.
Hype.
Yeah. To have Jason Tan de Bibiana.
Yeah, you got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
My last name is Zessie, so I'm used to hard last names.
My name's Philip.
Yeah.
I'm the brown dude with the name Philip.
Right. I was always like, anyway. So so we're excited to have you on the show to give us the 411 on just teaching young men to practice more responsible masculinity, not just for gender equity, but just for themselves, right? Mm-hmm. To like actually have a connection to that. So you're the research and evaluation director at NextGenMen, maybe some other things.
Bro.
I know.
Boss,
I was
bro.
like, you're what?
You know why? Because I gave it to myself.
Hell yeah.
Yes. I am the president of research and evaluation. Yeah, so NextGenMen is a Canadian nonprofit. This is a direct quote actually from the website. Nonprofit organization focused on building better men through youth and peer engagement, education, and empowerment. So Jason, welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here with you both. Am I the closing episode of the season?
You are. You're the bonus episode.
Okay, this is a big honor.
Bonus, bro.
But
bonus
track.
Yeah.
I've listened to every episode, and then I guess I will be in the last episode.
Yes.
How exciting is
Very
that?
exciting.
I'm so excited.
Like, so Samantha knows Jason. Like, she goes out into the world on the daily and actually meets people, talks to people, while I'm holed up in my apartment watching basketball or typing outlines. Samantha's actually a normal human, and she's met Jason, and they've chatted, and she's told me how great of a human he is, but I don't know you, bruh. Yeah. Except for the handsome man I see before me, the cool-ass bruh in front of me. So before we go any further, I think I just need some answers, so I'm got some questions for you.
Yeah.
The grilling. Here's the grilling of Remoy.
Hell yeah.
I'm ready.
So you're from Canada, or as I call it, Beaverland.
Not the North. Not we the North.
We call it Beaverland or Goslingland.
But take that.
Has you're in New York now, though, like, at least for a while. Has your family disowned you because you're now in the U.S.?
No.
Right?
Canadians don't disown like we do.
Yeah, Canadians are too nice, right?
Aren't
too nice to
like,
disown.
we're the enemy, though. We're the
nice.
stupid Americans of the South. Let's just be real.
Infiltrated.
but how does that work? So NextGen is based in Canada, but you're here in New York. What's going on?
What's going on? Yeah, I made it to New York. It was not an easy process. And I moved here because my partner came here for school. So we were just doing the back and forth. And then I figured out a way to get here.
Sure.
Doing some other jobs, which I can speak on because they're definitely related.
Cool.
And then I can just kind of pop back and forth to Canada when I need to. And I'm talking with my team on Slack and Basecamp like every day.
I love Slack.
So that's what's up, yeah.
A little bit of sarcasm there.
I was like, what is Slack?
It's my life, man.
So most people who live in New York can be bi-coastal, but you're like bi-country or something. Like, I don't know, that's pretty
dope.
rad, dude.
That's dope. It's dope.
So are you boys with my man, Nenshi?
Yeah, so I grew up in Toronto, but I just got back from Calgary. Spent the week out there with my other partner, Jake. And I even forgot this, but he was up for re-election, and he scooped it, man.
For those who don't know.
Yeah, for everyone who doesn't know.
Get on the Nenshi bandwagon. There's going to be a lot of people who don't know, but the Nenshi bandwagon is hot right now. Dude's a cool brown dude who's the mayor of Calgary. Super charming, super funny, super personal, at least by his Twitter personality.
Yeah.
And then if anybody tries to get at him, he comes at him hard and just represents. So shout out to man Nenshi. If you want to come on the pod, come through, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm down for mayors.
But keeping all of this in mind, what got you into this type of work?
Yeah, so we've been with NextGenMen. We've been at it for 3 years now. We're just coming up on our 3rd birthday.
Congratulations! Happy birthday!
Thank you. Yeah. So it's gonna be in November. But I think it's just the kind of thing where it's just like the sum of all the experiences that brought me here and brought us here. My background's in public health. I was always kind of like, I went into public health because I was interested in everything and how it kind of relates to health and wellness and that kind of thing.
Sure.
In my grad school days, when I was kind of like working on research and just crunching numbers and stuff like this, my good friend got me into volunteering with a youth sexual health organization.
Sure.
So every couple weeks, or I'd get out of the books and go out into high schools and do sex ed.
Wow.
And it was a really good experience. I did for 2.5 years almost. Learned a lot just in terms of like how to facilitate, how to work with kids of different ages, and how to talk about sex ed in a way that's not just like how to put on a condom, but it's the other stuff.
Dude, that's
the
baller,
stuff that
bro.
we're doing now with like gender and everything, but like how do you have like, healthy communication, emotional safety in sexual or other relationships.
Emotional safety.
But yeah, I think the other thing I was reflecting on was it was a important experience for me too, because it was an organization and a space that I got to be a part of, where I was probably one of the maybe one or two of the only cisgendered heterosexual guys. So I got to work. I was facilitating with people of other genders and other sexual orientations, and over the course of 2 years, I probably made a ton of mistakes in that work and stuff, but they created the space through that, whether through our actual trainings or just the kind of going out and getting to know people, and just trying to do sex ed in a way that's inclusive.
Sure.
Did that, finished grad school, thankfully. Left Vancouver, sadly, but then I did a little internship in Jamaica, where I was doing more reproductive health and sex ed, and I think that was where the stuff around masculinity really started to click, because I was working with the YMCA and working mostly with boys and young men. And it was just that perspective on seeing how gender and masculinity are conceived in a different cultural context.
Sure.
Not better or worse for any means, but definitely, I learned so much from that. So I came back to Toronto, and then my two friends reached out to me because we had heard of some programs happening in Calgary where they're doing this kind of work, and we're like, oh, maybe we could do this in Toronto. Wow. My friend Jake, who's got the more business mindset, he's like, all right, let's pitch on this competition. We did that. And my friend Jamal, who's he's the one who can he's the one in the program every day. He's with the kids. And awesome. He's like, I want to do this. I want to be in the schools and classrooms and stuff like that. So that's the genesis of NextGenMen, basically.
Okay, well, it sounds like it was you, your intersection of education and so on and so forth that got you into the work. But I've always been wondering, did you have any role models, or did you have any mentors that you can point to specifically, or was it kind of again, your own personal genesis? Yeah,
for this, I feel like it was all those close relationships and friendships and stuff, and I really like that thing where it's you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, or whatever. I don't think it's the 5 people, and then even nowadays it's often it's not the people you spend time physically with. Sometimes it's like, it's my brother who's in another part of the world who I have to call up, you know, and that kind of thing. But I definitely like that. I think I've taken all those influences from people in my life. So
like a general osmosis from like the closest people around you.
Yes,
right?
just soak it up, you know, like surround yourself with good people and soak that up, and then also, you know, you will be influencing them too, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the actual work that NextGenMen does and what it means to build better men?
I think by building better men, we wanted to look at the idea of like what it means to be a man, quote unquote, and see, you know, how that puts a lot of young boys and young men in that box. And I think our approach has always been like, let's support these boys and young men to like get to know themselves and be comfortable in their own skin. Yeah. And then we can move on to, and that really opens up a lot of space for being like, oh, what's my impact on the people around me? And like, how can I be a good ally and friend and support and that kind of thing. So
yeah, so basically, so it sounds like you get them connected to like who they are as humans moving through the world and like the kind of impact that their own actions will have like before. And so then when you finally tap into some of like the more gender related work, like what does that look like?
Yeah, and I think it's the thing where like we were inspired by wanting to create something that we didn't have when we were that age. And I think, you know, a lot of young people, they don't have that space to like think critically or get the chance to say like, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to, you know, like everyone has gender, but you don't actually think about that when you're a guy. So that's kind of the starting place where we go from, is just have those conversations first and then open up that space for everyone and then like move into the stuff around like health and gender and wellness and that kind of thing.
So like what kind of activity do you do, like activities, or do you do games, or like what do you like, how does it?
Yeah, so thankfully, like how we got started was Jamal was working in the school system before as a youth worker. And then we got connections into York Region School Board, which is where we run most of our programs. And we have an after-school program where we get 10 sessions with these guys. And that's really important, is like not just sort of coming in, doing a one-off assembly or something like that, or like a guest speaker talk. It really often takes like 10 sessions to get somewhere with some of these guys. Yeah. Some of them get it right away, and then others it's like session 3, session 4, whatever, or like by the end, or maybe not even by the end, right? But it's not like something that's going to happen overnight, right?
Yeah.
So for our youth program, the hook, and you need a hook, right? You need something to get guys to talk about this stuff. Like, it's not like you're just going to be like,
You don't have many like 12-year-old woke kids, like boys, right? Just be like, well, let me talk about myself and how I feel.
So thankfully, you know, we just go in and like, it's a fun program where like half of it is like a lot of the fun stuff and like games and like just blowing steam after school. And
what's the hook? What's the hook?
The hook is that they get to like hang out with their friends after school with like a cool, you know, like with like a cool facilitator. Yeah. With our 2 cool facilitators. Yeah. And it just, I think it's something that's like, it's not school, you know? It's in school, but it's after school, and it's not school, and we're not like standing at the front of the class lecturing to them or anything. So in terms of like the actual activities and stuff like that, we try and facilitate and use that approach. Like, so it can be an activity, it can be like maybe watch a little clip and have a discussion about it, but just that kind of thing. So it's, they're actually like, the way we start the program is just a check-in about what's going on with your week, how are you doing, right? And I think a lot of time, even in school, you can go like a whole day of school without anyone asking you like how you're doing, right?
Especially when you're that age.
Yeah. And it's actually really good practice, right, to do that in a group. And again, like at the beginning of program, most of these guys are probably like way too shy to share anything vulnerable, right?
Looking at their feet,
for sure. But we, like Jamal and Stefan model that. They're like, this is how my week's going. Like, this is what happened. You know, this is what's going good. And this is what's going, you know, I'm dealing with. So it's that kind of, there's like the activities, there's like a bit of the content and knowledge that we give them. And then a lot of it is sort of like giving role modeling and then giving them the chance to sort of like model that or practice it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's really awesome, because I think one of the things that people have been talking about is like the importance of men teaching young men, and like the fact that you guys are like guys who are modeling this behavior in front of them probably makes all the difference in the world. Like, if, you know, the way that we usually see, like, if, you know, like the amount of women who are actually like in teaching positions and stuff, like if you guys weren't doing that, it's more likely that they would have women modeling that behavior. And then it would be like, well, there's still like kind of like an opposition really that they have to, to be aware of really that doesn't create a safe space. So it's like.
Yeah, I know. And I'm still sort of on the fence with that because like I said, when I did this sex ed, it was, I was often the only guy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that is kind of the hook for them. They're like, oh, this is like a cool guy that I can look up to and then I'll listen to, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's not necessarily like that it has to be a guy doing it. But the nice thing is that they can have that connection, even though we're older than them, but there's like common experiences. And now that we actually have, 2 facilitators doing each program, it shows it just is a like physical example that there's not one way to be a man. Like here are 2 different guys with different backgrounds and ways of relating to you and stuff. So
but so what is the response been? Do you find that, your students get super engaged with the material? Does it take them a minute? Because I've worked with the kids before, and a lot of times it seems like it's a shit show. It's like 4 bad days versus 1 good day, and the 1 good day is super rewarding, and you feel like you've actually connected with the students. But there's the 4 bad days where it feels like I'm hitting a brick wall every time, So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not gonna like come out here and lie and say like we're in there and it's like all like rainbows and everything. Like there's,
if
just,
it was,
just put yourself in their shoes and be
smoking.
like, there's that resistance, right? Their ideas are gonna get
they
challenged
are kids
and stuff, and they're kids, and plus like maybe all they want to do after school is honestly just run around and yell and scream, which is fine, which happens, and like that's why Jamal and Stefan have the patience of saints. I think one of the things that has worked well for us over the years now is this isn't like a program for bad kids. It's not like punishment. So when we go into a school, whether it's like a school that we're coming to for the first time or we're coming back, we make sure that the teachers and the principal know who we are, know what's up, and then we go around and just kind of do like a little pitch in each of the classrooms or a school-wide thing. And so we get a mix usually in each group of kids who like something about that presentation or like, oh, this is really fun. I can relate to this a bit. And then there'll be like a couple kids who the teachers or the principal or their parents will be like, you need to go to this program. You need to go to this program. Like this is what you need, right? For whatever reason, like this kid is struggling in school or whatever, isn't engaged. And I think that like that's the mix that kind of helps glue the group together. And those dynamics that's like the day-to-day challenge of the program, right? Like within a group of 15 guys, there's going to be those same group dynamics where there's like the cool kids or whatever, and just keeping everyone like engaged in it is the challenge, and keeping that going so that the group can continue learning together.
I know you're not there every day, and Jamal's reported, but like, has there been like students, boys, young individuals who've like, there's been like noticeable change, or you've seen there's been like, wow, this kid's like really allowing himself to be vulnerable, and like you've seen transformative work done? Yeah,
I think so. I think just even in those things, like I was mentioning, the check-in circle, like they have that initial like wearing the mask, trying to be cool, and then the other thing that the guys do is it's kind of like a funny thing, but we'll do some of the activities. They'll get to do the fun stuff or whatever, but we'll also just like have a break where we've got some like snacks for them, right? It's like after school program. And so Jamal's I don't know what to call this. This is like not ransom, but his this is like such a parent move, but it's like to have your snack, you got to compliment someone in the group.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So like how uncomfortable is that, right?
I like
you gotta tell that dude you like it and why.
So the first like 5 weeks is probably just like I like Remoy's hat is cool. Or like Samantha when we were playing basketball, you shot is cool. Right? And then but
that's so cute.
It's funny, but yeah, like I don't know what to call it, but it's like that's like a parent move, right? But I think by like they're like, okay, we're gonna come to NextGenMen, we're gonna get snack, we're gonna have our time to speak on like what we're dealing with, we're gonna do these activities. Like that's the group norm that we form within those 10 weeks. By the end of it, with like Jamal modeling what it is to compliment someone on not what they're wearing or like how they did in sports and stuff, and modeling how you compliment and appreciate someone for like being there for you, right? They can get to, a lot of them can get to that point. And so that's, I mean, it's not like a huge thing.
No, that's a
anything
huge
like
It's a huge
But,
thing. Oh my God.
yeah.
I mean, adults, you know, like how do you get somebody to like understand that you appreciate them?
Yeah.
Right? Like adults don't know how to do
Yeah.
that.
Or just like as a male to be, and I hate to do this because of systematic how masculinity is defined, like for a male to be sensitive to like see a person and appreciate them, but then vocalize that
Yeah.
appreciation, and it doesn't even maybe potentially it's not even like superficial, like something it's like substantive. That's huge.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember the first time that my dad told me he loved me. I was like, I know you're probably listening to this, and I love you so much, Dad. But I was actually taken aback because he's like a grown man, and like he has a is this systematic whatever. So anyway, oh my God, I love you, Dad. Podcasts get way too personal. Oh my God. Yeah, so I mean, I have a question about this in terms of like you actually implementing the program, right? So like how do you deal with the schools? So like, I mean, because this is like a, NextGenMen is a nonprofit it's like singular, right? So like, how do you then go to a school and are like, you should probably have this program here?
Yeah, like we're at the point where we have like a waiting list and requests from schools more than we can reach.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you haven't got it yet, we're like a very small grassroots organization. But we're in this one school board, and we've been to about 15, almost 20 schools now. But there's 150 or 140 in that school board. So like, yeah, and so people hear about us, and I think
that's awesome.
I think it kind of ties into this when you're like a teacher and you're just in it and you're just in the system, right? Like you see male students struggling, and I think there's that conversation is more happening is like, wait, why are like male students disengaged or whatever? What's going on with all this like bullying and discrimination within our schools? This is one piece that we can bring in, right? Like we're gonna bring in maybe like the LGBT school group. We're gonna bring in this, and there's always been like. Not always, but I think it's more common to have like a girls empowerment program that does this kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And then for boys, you just like give them sports or something.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
No,
that's exactly what happens.
So yeah, I think we'll either hear from a teacher or a principal or even a parent, and they're like, "Can you come to our school?" And we're like, "Yeah, like we'll try and come next year," or like whatever kind of thing. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There has been like, though it hasn't. I feel like it hasn't happened too much in the past year, but there's definitely been like a couple phone calls we've gotten from parents and stuff. We're like, oh, that sucks. Like this guy is not going to be able to do our program, and maybe he needs it a lot. But yeah. So
can you share a little bit about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So when we launched the program, this was 2014, 2015. This was the context that we came in was actually that in Ontario, they were just trying to update the physical health and sexual education,
right. Yeah, you mentioned this.
curriculum, and it was wild. Like, so they hadn't. This is like what happens in gym class when your gym teacher is like, "Don't do drugs, like use a condom, whatever." Generally not like the best kind of facilitator, but anyway.
I had a sex ed teacher whose name was Coach Seaman. I want to put that out there. No joking.
Oh my God.
Sorry to interrupt. I had to put that out there.
I mean, it's
It was super awkward.
I felt like it's applicable.
Very awkward. Yeah, and not to say like some
to
teachers.
Randall High School, Emerald, Texas.
Shout out
to Coach Seaman. For real, that was his real name.
God.
We were actually pretty mature kids because nobody made any jokes, or maybe I wasn't
That
cool
is-
enough to
that
be a
is
part of the
astounding.
joke.
Right. Like, how old were you?
That was like junior, senior
in high school.
No, that was earlier than that. I was no, I have no idea anymore.
Thank you. Was super woke. I mean, oh my God.
I just think I wasn't cool enough. There's probably actually a lot of jokes going on.
just flying over your head.
I was just the brown kid in the corner doing my homework. Don't worry, guys.
Intellectual circle over here. Yeah.
But yeah, not to say like some teachers can really be great at that, right? But it was like the curriculum, they were trying to update sex ed, and it hadn't been updated in almost 20 years. So they didn't have anything about, not anything, but they barely had anything about mental health. They had like nothing about cyberbullying and sexting and all this stuff. Again, not to say that teachers are completely unaware of this, but it's like coming top down, right? Sure. It's like this is what needs to be taught in school and programs. Yeah. And there was actually like a lot of backlash to that. And it was like a process over a couple of years leading up to 2014, 2015. And then they rolled it out, and then a lot of parents kind of were uncomfortable with it. So I feel like we've gotten over that hurdle, and now it's like getting the teachers trained up on how to handle this in a good way. But yeah, we came in under that, and we never billed ourselves as like a sex ed program. And that was a bit of like a Trojan horse for us, even though we get to that
smart
stuff around relationships and everything like that.
Yeah.
But like a couple of the parents that did call and just like hang up on Jamal was like, are you going to teach my parents about like gay stuff and like, you know, like that kind of stuff. Or like, yeah. And they're like, all right, I don't want to be in the program. And that like that's what came up in the response to this curriculum is like, you're going to be teaching my kids of sex at like this age, XYZ or whatever, and you're going to be like turning them gay, right? So it's not the majority, but like that's a bit of what we're up against in all the different communities and ages, right? So
because I mean it's tough. I was talking to a parent recently who was like, well, you have to check in with like the parents, and it's like, you know, because it's like when you try to implement something like that, like on a state level, right? It's like, you know, kids are going to come across somebody one day at one point who like likes, who like a boy will come across another boy who likes boys. And like, they're going to have to know how to deal with that. You're going to come across a transgender like classmate at one point, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with that. And I think it's like that tricky balance of being like, okay, well, I understand that you have like your, you know, your beliefs and like your stance on things, but like this is the real world and like it's gonna happen. So it's like that weird balance of like when we think about like sex education, like on the state level, like it's like we can't omit things because you feel uncomfortable with them because it's still reality. But then at the same time, we have to respect you as a parent. It's like, so I feel like the opt-in, you know, is. It's great, and I feel like, but at the same time, we all eventually want to get to a point where this is just part of education, right? Sure. So it's like, it's hard. It's, I don't know.
Like even at the age that we work with, it's like, this shouldn't be the first time that they're getting the chance. And sex ed, it's, you know, it is at that age, it is a matter of like, not to be like serious, but like life and death for some kids, right? So
what I think is interesting and whether you're pointing to it or not, I don't know. But like, so in American television, there's a lot of really interesting progressive stuff that's happened, and it's been like kind of normalized, whether it's like Modern Family and certain things. But if it's not reinforced like on the edge, like school levels, and it's not reinforced at home, then it almost gets lost, or that information or those ideas get confused, and that's what's worrisome to me, right? So that's what's cool about what NextGen is, like it's on a school level, like it's on
but even like the media and TV and stuff, I think that's super important too. And I don't know if it reaches Texas or not, but like I saw this presentation recently where they're saying like most people these days consume 10 hours of media a day.
Absolutely.
And 3,000 brand images, right? So like think about what most of it is. And
3,000 brand images a day?
Brand images. It's like, you know, every
I mean, I guess,
ever, right?
Yeah, right.
So there's a lot to like push back against, but you know, if there is like positive representation in media and stuff, I think that's like.
So I know, so you mentioned that you are also going into workplace and but first actually don't you have like a program that deals with men not in the workplace, but like I saw something about Wolfpack.
So that is a program, or that's kind of like initiative that we started, and it's not just for guys, but the idea was we wanted to like create space for conversations that men don't normally have. And just thinking about like sometimes a lot of male friendships are, not to say these are surface level things, but like sports, politics, and like whatever, and you don't get into those like, you know, serious topics or have those like close friendships where when things are going rough, like you can actually reach out to that person and see like, this is what's going on. And we started it, and we found that it was actually really great to have these conversations open to people of all genders together, doing them in Calgary and Toronto for about a bit more than a year now. In Calgary, it's kind of like more of a thing that's like got a good following, and in Toronto, it's a bit of a smaller thing. But yeah, we've had some really great conversations. Like I was in Calgary on Wednesday, and we were talking about locker room talk and our experiences with sports and sports culture and stuff like that. Talked about body image. Like in November, we'll be doing mental health again, and it's just kind of a space like we can't be in every school. We can't be you know, having this conversation with everyone, but we're just trying to create a bit of space where we are. So again, the hook for that is it's kind of like a happy hour atmosphere vibe, right? So like low pressure, just come through. Like, you know, hopefully you'll come once, and then if you like it, you'll come again. You'll bring someone else. And
so you guys started in Calgary. That started in Calgary. You're moving on to Toronto, and then do you plan to kind of like spread throughout Canada?
I mean, that's a big country.
Maybe come here.
Yeah, no, I don't. To be honest, like when we first launched and we got some CBC press, that's like Canadian broadcasting.
Okay.
Which is
Flex
like,
again,
yeah,
bro.
man,
Okay.
big thing.
That's good.
But we heard from like a bunch of other cities in Canada, and people were like, oh, this would be great to have in my city or my community and stuff like that. And we still have not decided to scale it in that way or like branch it out in that way.
Yeah.
Just because I know, and we've talked about this, it's the work, but like we could put in that work. The thing is actually that's we're trying to bring in people who are not engaged in these issues, right?
Right.
And that also, it's the whole crowd of people who care about men's issues is not always the same crowd that cares about gender equity, right? And we want to bring those people in, but like I wouldn't hand off this like NextGenMen, or I wouldn't hand off like a program like this to someone who I didn't know their values and whether they have the skills to navigate those conversations, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean that's
you're
like,
being responsible.
Yeah,
basically,
yeah. Yeah, and those things are happening whether we're getting into it or not. So we have to figure out like the people and the ways to do that. But just like we weren't ready to just like let this thing go off on its own without us. So yeah.
In that vein of like adulthood and manhood, right? So you're getting into the workplace.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that, because I mean, obviously it's very needed, right?
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Yeah. So this is not just like coming up just because of it's like the thing in the news right now. Like we've been thinking about this for a while. Again, like we know that the workplaces where people spend a lot of their times and there's still great inequality and inequities there. I think we kind of saw it as a logical extension of the work that we're doing with these young guys.
I agree.
You go through school, you go through whatever, and then you're in these like workplaces. And are you perpetuating these inequalities, or are you actually trying to transform the place where you work? Our kind of hook and our Trojan horse with this is that we're doing a lot of presentations on unconscious bias.
Oh,
so you guys know it's super interesting.
Oh my God, PwC! I just went to a presentation of PwC. Have you heard of Inroads?
I haven't heard of Inroads. No.
But so PwC put a.
This is a problem of being in your apartment all the time. I have no idea what they're talking about.
We can send you videos about it. You can watch this from the comfort of your home.
Thanks.
Yeah,
really do appreciate it, guys.
So the unconscious bias thing, and we can like. You should tell people to check this out.
Yeah.
It's the research that was on it is like if you're asked directly like, do you discriminate against like women or black people? You're like, of course not. No, of course not.
No way.
Right?
I'm not a racist or a sexist. What do you mean?
Exactly, right? So but what these like psychology researchers are doing is looking at like it's the unconscious implicit associations we have. And there's this test where you can do where it's like you can do it on your phone or your computer where they like, did you do this?
Yeah, they showed us like a person who looks more like an executive, who looks more like a, Yeah, so we'll do that in part of our training, right? And it's like, oh, like, even though I think that I, see these people as equal, like this is the cultural bias that's sort of seeped in. And that's like a good starting point because it doesn't like say that like men are evil. It's like everyone has biases, and this is like something that we all need to work to overcome. And like this affects like who you're gonna hire and who you're gonna promote, right? And that's it's not like I know a lot of the thing is like we want to have the best people, and that's part of it. But we also want to like have everyone get the equal opportunities, right? So what's next for you guys? What's next for NextGenMen? I mean, it sounds like you guys are already. You've got the workplace thing. You've got the Wolfpack thing.
Do you have time for what's next?
I know.
Do you have
I guess,
extra arms, legs, muscles, brain space for what's next?
We feel like there's a lot of work to do, but not
Hell yeah.
Or money. But yeah, so what's happening? So we're really trying to like develop and scale out this workplace programming. Like we'll do these unconscious bias presentations, but we really want to like sell a company on like doing the work internally and with their support, right? So we can offer them this 14-session training program. We can figure out other ways to support them in like changing their organizational culture. So that's exciting, and we're kind of working on that. The youth program is going well, and it's kind of like that's not the least of our worries, but it's really going steady. The challenge there and the exciting part there is like, can we scale within that school board, and can we scale out a bit more from there, right?
Yeah.
And we've been really lucky to have Jamal and Stefan running this program. finding someone who can facilitate this program it's not like you can just parachute someone into it, right? So when we get the next grant, like we're going to really be looking at how we can hire the right people and then train them and support them to continue the work. And we're trying to, like when I was in Toronto, we did a workshop with parents. We're trying to see how we can spread some more of this content and training to parents, teachers, coaches, other youth workers, and that kind of thing. The cool thing that I was just out in Calgary for, because like again, I get to nerd out on the research and evaluation thing, is that we just joined a community of practice with the University of Calgary with these social work researchers.
Nice.
And they're amazing. They've been like doing the theory and the practice of this kind of prevention work around gender-based violence for years, and then they've pulled together some like funding to bring together a bunch of Calgary and Alberta-based organizations who are like. The whole rationale behind it is that men don't come to programs. So men don't come to like violence prevention programs. Like men don't come to like talks on feminism, blah, 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 right? So figuring out ways to like go to where they're at. So for us, it's the workplace. For other groups, it's like their church community. It's like going to the police and stuff like that. So there's going to be really cool work coming out of that from a bunch of other groups that are in partnership with that. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have one question that maybe, I mean, what's the most rewarding part of this work? I mean, like you've been doing this for a long time. Like what is it that has you, I mean, besides all the awesome stuff that you already mentioned, like, you know.
It's really rewarding to see those changes that are happening for the people who come through our programs and stuff. And I think the other really rewarding thing is like, I've been on this journey for 3 years or more than that, right? And, having like the team that I work with and the network that we have to kind of like including you to learn about these issues and sort of unlearn about it, it's like very personally rewarding, right? Like it creates a lot of space in your life to like, you know, that kind of thing. So
nice.
Yeah. It's cool. Like over these 10, 12 episodes that we've had a lot of people in and to talk about the work they're doing or their lives they're leaving. And it's exciting and inspiring because there's a lot of ambitious people here, right? And a lot of people ambitious coming on the show and sharing all the really cool stuff. And it makes your eyes like just stretch wide. You're like, oh crap, there's so much good work being done. These people are just going above and beyond to do this work. But that's because it's necessary and it's needed, right? And I wholeheartedly thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
And the fact that you can see and assess that there is more work to be done and that you're willing and ambitious and striving, you and Jamal and the whole team, to do that work. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I mean, I'll accept your compliment because we all need to work on that. And like I'll put it back on like I see I don't know if it's ambition, but I see the work that people are putting in when they come to our program too, right? And our programs, like that's the work too. That's very important.
So, you know, thank you so much for coming. We've been talking about having you for a while, and like, I'm so happy this finally happened.
A new friend.
No, this is really great. And like, you know, the fact that you have an organization that's dedicated to meeting people where they are, is everything. Like giving these young men the space to realize that they can have spaces of brotherhood, that they can have spaces where they can be vulnerable with one another, and also learn to be more responsible. So do you want to let people know where to find you?
Like on the interwebs?
Yes.
It's easy. Just next, like, I don't know, I think people know how to spell us. NXT,
cool.
Gen, as in generation, but GEN, men, MEN, and we're on most of the things. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Cool.
You can check out some stories from the program, see updates from the workplace thing, and everything like that. Yeah.
Good.
You know who else is on Facebook and Twitter?
MASKulinity. So find us on Maskulinity Pod. That's Masculinity with a K, of course, on Twitter, and then on Facebook, Maskulinity Podcast, again with a K. You can also listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher. Please give us some stars. Please give us some reviews. Let us know if you like it or dislike it, so that we can foster some conversation. So thank you so much, Jason, for being here, and thank everybody for listening. Ciao, ciao.
Yo, Jeremy Lynn, we love you. We're sorry. We all miss you from the Brooklyn Public Library. Our hearts are breaking.
Okay, bye.
Peace out.